When this fight did end, I was not doing videos, so I did ask you guys in my previous video should I make a video analysis of this fight, and some of you said yes. So here we go. In this video, besides analyzing the fight, I will also talk about the writer's perspective and the perspective of Luffy's fans and One Piece fans. When this fight ended in chapter 898, I was reading the comments on the website and I saw mostly two kinds of comments from people. Those who are fans of Luffy and those who are fans of One Piece. The Luffy fans were happy how this fight did end, and they were saying this was a great fight. The other comments were saying that they are not happy and this doesn't make sense. Among these comments, I saw two other kinds of comments that were, to put it simply, stupid. Some were saying that I lost my faith on Oda, or he is not as good anymore. Well, the idea that a writer can become better or worse in a space of one chapter is pretty laughable. The only way how these comments can be justified is if they were saying stuff like this because they were angry and emotional. The other kind of comments were some people attacking all of those people who were not happy with this fight. Saying to them like you are not a real fan and stuff like this. And that's why you are not happy with how this fight did end. Well, unless you are 8 years old, then this is weird. People who read or watch a story only because of the main character should not throw rocks from their castle of glass. I'm not saying that there is a right way or a wrong way to read a story, and do not let anyone tell you otherwise, because this is entertainment, and as long as you are enjoying it, then everything is great. But if we are to have a serious and constructive conversation about a story, then these kinds of comments should not be part of any conversation. Before starting analyzing this fight, let's look at the differences between Luffy and Katakuri. Luffy is 19 years old, Katakuri is 48 years old. So Katakuri is a lot more experienced when it comes to fighting. Luffy is 104 centimeters tall, Katakuri is 509 centimeters tall. This is a very big advantage that Katakuri has over Luffy. Luffy's Devil Fruit power is rubber and Katakuri's is mochi. Luffy's Devil Fruit is more powerful, but still Katakuri has the advantage when it comes to Devil Fruit power because he has awakened his Devil Fruit. Katakuri has advanced Haki and also advanced armament Haki. He said this himself. When Luffy's fist was clashing with Katakuri's, Luffy was in pain. Luffy said about Cracker that his armament Haki was the strongest he's ever come across, but Luffy was not getting hurt when he did come in contact with Cracker's armament Haki. So this shows how strong Katakuri's armament Haki is. And also it's very important to note that Luffy had fought Cracker for 11 hours and the enraged army, which he lost to them while Katakuri was fresh. At the beginning of the fight, Katakuri had the upper hand, and this is normal, because this is what happens in almost every fight in any story. But I did not expect the difference to be that big. I'm going to use numbers to make things more clear. At the beginning of the fight, the difference of power levels between Katakuri and Luffy was 80% to 20%. 80% for Katakuri and 20% for Luffy. Now, if you were not watching this fight as a sports game when you support either Luffy or Katakuri, but considering this fight as part of the story, then I'm sure that some of you this thought came to your mind. Unless Luffy does something really special, then it seems that maybe Luffy will lose this fight, or it will be a draw, or someone will intervene. While this fight is continuing, I was expecting the balance to change little by little, and things to get more even, like 65 to 35, but to my surprise, this was not happening. Now, from the writer's perspective, I know why Oda did that, and it has nothing to do with the story, but I will talk about this later in this video. Now let's look at how many times that Luffy and Katakuri managed to land their attacks on each other. Let's start with Luffy first. So Luffy did hit Katakuri 13 times, but one thing that is important here is that from those 13 attacks, Katakuri only one time fell to the ground. Now let's look at Katakuri's attacks. So Katakuri did manage to hit Luffy 36 times. Now, if you were to compare the number of attacks and difference in experience, height, double fruit, haki, and also Luffy fought Cracker and the Enraged army while Katakuri was fresh, after that final attack, guess who did get up and who did not? But there is another thing. If Katakuri were to use his awakened power, then Luffy will not be able to hit Katakuri with that attack. But Katakuri did not use his awakened power in the final stage of the fight. Personally, I was very surprised that this fight did end at that point. I really did expect to go for another 2 chapters. Because only when Luffy did activate Snake Man, the fight started to become more even. At that point, the power levels were 40% for Luffy and 60% for Katakuri. So the people who were complaining about the way this fight did end, they are right to do so. And the people who are happy with the way this fight did end is due to them being fans of Luffy and not because this makes sense. If you read the story only because of the main character, then as long as he wins, of course you will be happy. But if you read the story because of the writer, then you want the story to win and succeed, and not just one character. Because if a character wins or loses, this doesn't make the story better or worse, but it's all about how he wins and loses. It needs to make sense. This is the most important thing. I understand completely those who are happy with the way Luffy won this fight because they read the story in the same way as you support a sports team. If the team that you support is playing badly and they still somehow did manage to win, then this victory will make you happier than the other victories because you did not expect to win. It's a surprise. And I will repeat again what I said at the beginning of the video, that there is no right way or wrong way to enjoy a story. If you are one of these people who reads the story only because of the main character, there is nothing wrong with this. As long as you enjoy reading or watching a story, then this is all that matters. But if we were to look at things in a more professional way, then this is how things are. I said earlier that I will talk about why Oda did this, why he did end the fight in this way. Is it because he's not good enough anymore? This is very funny. In every profession, the more experienced you are, the better you can do your job, but apparently this is not the case for writers. For some reason they become worse over time. Anyway, joking aside, I want to make something very clear. This video is not me saying that this is where Oda did wrong and I know better, because that would be retarded. I am not active that much online, but I see here and there some titles of videos or articles that some people write. The reason why I'm saying titles because I don't dare to click on them anymore. I did watch some of them, those will be enough. These videos or articles are all about trolling and being negative because that's what will get people's attention and bring more views. When you analyze a story, you will do 2 things. You will praise and criticize. If you only praise, then you are just like a cheerleader. And if you only criticize, then you are just hating. There is a huge difference between criticizing and trolling or just being negative for the sake of it. You are not being critical if you say this story sucks, the writer cannot do this or that, from this point on the story fell apart, or this is what went wrong, etc. The idea that someone who makes videos or writes articles can know better than these professional writers is retarded. There is no other way to say this. If someone thinks that they can do better, then why don't you write your own story and show these writers how it's done? Anyway, what I'm doing in this video is analyzing the process of decision making by the writer. Because when you write this type of story, more often than not, it's not about what is the best thing for the story, but will people understand it? Will it be popular with the masses and stuff like this? So you need to find a balance between writing the story that you want and using formulas to keep the masses happy and interested. Because if the sales will go down, then the company will cancel the story. It doesn't matter to them how good the story is. Even if the writer has written the best story of all times, but the sales are not good enough, then the company will cancel that story. Because these companies are businesses and not non-profit organizations. Their first priority is always money, because without it they will go bankrupt. Now let's go back to the fight. Based on the rules that Oda has created for the story and the information that we have gotten so far, this fight should not have ended at that point. If this fight were to continue and the roles were to be switched, and what Katakuri did to Luffy for most of this fight, now if Luffy were to do the same, then when Luffy will be victorious, I don't think anyone would have any problem. Here's a small example. If Katakuri were to stand up and continue the fight and Luffy uses another special attack, and this time he is the only one who lands the attack, and while Katakuri tries to defend himself, his arm is broken. But he still gets up and continues the fight, and if Luffy hits him again with another special attack, which is the most powerful attack that he used so far in the series, and Katakuri goes down, then things will make sense compared to what did happen when Luffy got knocked down many times and he got up every time, but the first time that Katakuri goes down, he stays down. Another question is why Oda did this? Well, I did mention before that when you write this type of story, you need to sacrifice the story to use formulas to keep masses happy. It's not a coincidence that One Piece is the best-selling manga. Oda and his team are masters on how to handle their audience. They wanted to hype people up about this character, and planned this idea that hey, maybe Luffy will lose this fight. And this did work perfectly. The fact that people are talking about this, and the fact that this video exists, is a testament how well it did work. So they did a great job in that aspect. Is this in a way like a clickbait? Yes, it is, but there is a lot more to it than that. It's clear to see that Oda's focus has been for the Wano arc for a long time now, and that's why they are saying the Wano arc will be the best One Piece arc so far, even better than Marineford. And the other thing is that Oda plans to use these characters again, and that's why he's not going all out with these characters. It was mentioned a couple of times in this arc that they will face each other again. Katakuri did ask Luffy, will you come back here to defeat Big Mom? Luffy says, of course, I am the man who will be the Pirate King. Thanks for watching, like and share if you liked this video and subscribe for more One Piece videos.